Okay, so we're going to jump right into it. Pretty disturbing case that's been making headlines. The killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And we've got an Associated Press report here
Mm.
that we're going to use for this deep dive. And basically what we're going to do is unpack some of the key facts, try to understand what's going on here, and look at some of the motivations that seem to be surfacing.
Yeah, this is right away a situation that grabbed everyone's attention, just given who the victim was, such a high-profile person,
Right.
and the quick, strong reaction from federal authorities, and the article that you shared really lays out the initial charges that are now facing this Luigi Mangione,
Right.
this 26-year-old who's been accused.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the victim, Brian Thompson, had the largest health insurer in the country, was shot dead outside of a Manhattan hotel on December 4th. And as you said, Luigi Mangione is facing charges on both the federal and state level for murder. But what's really striking me is this specific federal charge, murder through use of a firearm. It just signals a certain
Oh yeah, absolutely.
craziousness.
I
I mean, what do you?
Yeah, it puts it on a different level because it allows the federal government to bring a much harsher penalty to the table, potentially,
Right.
which it sounds like they're ready to do.
Yeah.
I mean, Attorney General Pam Bondi has already come out and said she's directing her team to go for the death penalty, so that's a huge development right there.
That's really significant. And her statement describing it as a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination,
Yeah.
and then even linking it back to President Trump's Make America Safe Again agenda.
Mm.
I mean, what do you make of that connection? Does it give us
Yeah.
any early insights into how authorities are viewing this?
It definitely, I think, frames it within that whole,
Yeah.
combating violent crime narrative.
Right?
So it could be that they're seeing this as more than just an isolated incident.
Yeah.
But, I think what's really chilling in this case, and maybe gives us this more direct view into the guy's motives, is they found the spiral notebook that belonged to Mangione.
Right. This notebook seems to have some really direct and disturbing entries. One that stood out to me was from August 2024 that said the target is insurance
Mm.
because it checks every box. I mean, that's a pretty broad declaration of intent. What boxes do you think he's referring to?
That's the big question, isn't it? And the report doesn't really get into specifics, but, you could speculate, I guess, about just the general grievances that people tend to have towards the insurance industry. Maybe it's costs, maybe it's, having coverage denied, the bureaucratic nightmares,
Right.
all
The
that
rates
stuff.
of flawed red tape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you have this other entry from October where he's talking about wanting to whack an insurance company CEO. I mean, you can't really interpret that as anything other than, he's planning to target someone at the top.
Yeah, and the victim here, Brian Thompson, he wasn't just any executive. I mean, he was leading UnitedHealthcare and had a family.
Yeah, father of 2 young kids. It's just it adds this whole other human element
It really does.
to the whole thing. That's really sad.
It's tragic, and it's interesting. UnitedHealthcare has said that Mangione was never a client of theirs.
Mm.
So does that suggest maybe the motive's more ideological rather than personal?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it definitely strengthens that idea
Right.
that this wasn't just like I got a bad deal from this company or this guy wronged me somehow.
Yeah.
It's more like he has this broader anger towards the whole industry itself,
Right.
which is kind of unsettling when you think about it.
It really is. So where do things stand now with the legal process? We know that Mangione has pleaded not guilty to the state charges.
Right.
What about on the federal side?
So on the federal side, he hasn't entered a plea yet. And, the difference in potential punishment is going to make things really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be facing the death penalty on the federal level,
Right.
but the state charges only carry a maximum of life in prison.
Right.
So that's going to be a whole legal battle in itself, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to kind of bring it all together, we've got a man accused of assassinating the CEO of a major health insurer, and the government's going for the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
The motive seems to be, at least based on what Mangione wrote down, this deep hatred of the insurance industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's the picture we're getting so far. But, as things move through the courts, we'll probably learn a lot more about specifics, like, what exactly was behind this animosity and, how did it lead to this horrible event?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a case we'll keep following. And listening to all this, it really makes you think about the bigger picture, for you listening out there. What does it mean when violence is aimed at entire industries and their leaders, and it seems to be driven by ideology?
Yeah.
Could this be some new kind of extremism? And if so, how do we deal with something like that? It's a troubling thought to leave you with. But that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.